Hey, welcome to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Check out our playlist for more amazing novels. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new audiobook. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, Difficult Life. Dishan, Zhonghuai Wetlands, Yixing City. The polished bluestone slabs reflected like mirrors under the moonlight, fallen leaves swirling on the ground without piling up. The wind surged across the vast river surface, flowing over rooftops and seeping through door cracks, rustling the wild grass that stood tenaciously outside. In a mud-brick house, a lifeless boy stirred slightly, some semblance of vitality returning to him. Hungry, so hungry. Liang Qu opened his eyes, unfocused, and felt as though his stomach was being twisted by knives. He curled up on the wooden bed, writhing from the pain. Liang Qu, and I'm called Liang Qu too. A mother who died in childbirth, a father who succumbed to illness last month, what a typical tragic start. Just a boat and a house. No, wait, even the boat's gone. Stolen by that scoundrel Bald Zhong. Ah, he's hideous, like a toad come to life. Fighting off hunger, he processed the chaotic fragments of memory, his expression dazed. Zhonghuai Wetlands, a land that supported thousands of fishermen, and now he was one of these small fishers. Dirty, yellowed water, shrill sirens, the burning pain in his nasal passages, and the glaring spotlight casting its harsh glow on the water's surface. It wasn't a dream. He had really drowned trying to save someone. Of course, staying up late to meet a deadline left him with no energy, so jumping into the water meant this was inevitable. Too bad I didn't have kids, maybe I'd have earned some bonus points for the college entrance exam, starting life on a higher step. Liang Qu collapsed on the bed, feeling a deep-seated weariness rising from within. It was as if the past 20 years had been like the trace left by a fallen leaf, non-existent. Nothing achieved, nothing loved, nothing accomplished. Life truly felt meaningless. Grumble. Well, maybe it did have some meaning, because he was unbearably hungry. Hunger drove Liang Qu to seek survival. The transmigration seemed to have cured his severe nearsightedness, clearing his vision as if a fog had lifted. He scanned the room, just a bed, a stove, and an empty jar. Memories assaulted him once more. Get lost. You jinx, wanting to borrow grain when I can't even feed my own 6 children. You know, the autumn tax is coming. No, he needed water first. The gnawing pain in his stomach sent jolts through his nerves. He gritted his teeth, climbed down from the bed, and, leaning against the clay wall, wobbled outside. But after only a few steps, he was gasping for breath, forcing him to sit on the doorstep to rest. This is too weak. Sweat beaded his forehead, and he couldn't even flex his fingers. He could hardly believe the frailty of his body. Was he really about to die again right after arriving? The icy grip of fear clutched at his heart. Whoever said that dying once made you fearless was lying. The fear of death was ingrained in human genes. Clatter. Wagon wheels rolled over the bluestone bricks, producing a familiar sound. Someone was coming. His heart leapt into his throat. Don't mind him, just go around. Bad luck, don't get entangled with a starving ghost. He couldn't make out what the carters were murmuring, only that the wagon wheels were rolling away. The words that reached his lips were swallowed back down as he stared into the endless darkness of the street, feeling a chill seep into his bones, his blood growing colder. He wanted to find a well but no longer had the strength to take another step. Ah Shui, why are you sitting here? Ah Shui, me. Turning his head, Liang Qu saw a burly, dark-skinned man standing beside him. He blurted out, Uncle Chen. His memory told him that the man before him was Chen Qingzhong, his neighbor. Right, I am Ah Shui. Both lifetimes shared the same name, given because Qu carried the water radical, so the villagers called him Ah Shui. Liang Qu sighed, too worn out to ask for help. He forced a smile and said, I got tired walking and sat down to rest. What about you, uncle? Just got back from selling fish in town. Town. Yep, the fish are fat and sell easily these days. Had to go to town to avoid getting undercut by the fish stalls. I don't rent their boats, so I sell to whoever I want. But why are you sitting out here? Aren't you afraid of catching a chill? Chen Qingzhong moved closer and saw his gaunt appearance, visibly shocked. What happened? Startled, he remembered Liang Qu had lost his father and probably ran out of food long ago. Instinctively, he reached for his pocket but hesitated. He had a piece of fatty meat pastry, earned after a 10-mile walk to town, where he made an extra 8 coins by selling fish. It was for his youngest son, who'd been crying non-stop. The pastry, still warm in his pocket, would now go to someone else. Saying he didn't feel a pang would be a lie. Daddy, why doesn't Brother Shui play with me anymore? Because Brother Shui's daddy is gone, and he has no time to play. Why did he leave? Chen Shun, Chen Qingzhong's eldest, was just 6 and often played with Liang Qu. Chen Qingzhong remembered being Liang Qu's age, just as mischievous. For a moment, the boy in front of him overlapped with those memories. Sigh. He pulled out the pastry and unwrapped it. Ah Shui, eat up. Uncle Chen. This. Liang Qu's Adam's apple bobbed. He had thought he'd reached the end, only for this unexpected lifeline to appear. He wanted to say something, but the rich aroma was too tempting. His hands trembled as he accepted it. His cracked lips bled, the taste of iron mixing with the pastry's oil and meat. He stuffed it into his mouth without hesitation. The last drops of saliva were coaxed out, blending with the pastry as it slid into his stomach. Liang Qu swallowed a few mouthfuls, feeling a spark of strength, and quickly expressed his gratitude. Eat up, and go home as soon as you're done. Don't linger outside. Chen Qingzhong brushed off his pants, stood up, and walked away, feeling even more burdened. If it's like this now, how will he survive winter? Should I discuss sharing some grain with Adi? But with Urbao's recent illness, can we afford it? His straw sandals scraped the dirt path as he walked into the distance. Ah, so good. Liang Qu finished the last bite and watched Chen Qingzhong's figure recede, unable to call out. Recent years had been peaceful, with no disasters. A stone of rice cost around 1,000 coins. Uncle Chen's family had 5 mouths to feed, an elderly parent, 2 young children, and a wife. In one season, they needed at least 4 stones of rice, totaling about 33 coins daily just for food. Spring fishing, autumn harvesting, summer nurturing, and winter struggles, Uncle Chen earned roughly 80 coins daily during the prosperous autumn. It sounded decent but was barely enough. Cloth, salt, vegetables all cost money, and fishing taxes were even higher than agricultural ones. Add other miscellaneous fees, like 2 coins for docking fees, rising to 4 during flood season. In winter, income plummeted, and if anyone fell ill. Chen Qingzhong was an experienced fisherman, and his wife, Adi, was diligent. Together, they managed, though only barely. But then Urbao's illness struck, as if he'd been set on fire. Their stable life suddenly turned precarious. That meat pastry must have been hard-earned, meant for his son, now saving Liang Qu's life instead. True friendship shows in hardship. The stars above twinkled brilliantly in the night sky. Smog-choked cities back home had never seen such clear nights. Here, it constantly reminded him, this was an entirely different world. Leaning against the wall, Liang Qu felt an overwhelming loneliness. He couldn't fish and had no way to earn a living. There was no way he could speak of paying back such kindness. As for using modern knowledge to make money, that would be tough. A glance at the empty streets showed many houses with stepped gable roofs, their walls higher than the eaves, a classic fire prevention structure. This indicated a society advanced enough to use brickwork, moving past primitive rammed earth. It meant this world's productivity was at least on par with the Ming or Qing dynasties. This body came from the lowest of the low, with no experience of luxury, but Liang Qu understood that items like white sugar, refined salt, horseshoes, steelmaking, or soap were out of reach for him. And even if they weren't, it wouldn't help. Why did ancient people value sons? His stolen boat explained it clearly. Without a strong young man at home, one could be bullied to death. If even a boat could be taken, money would be even more tempting to others. Life was nearly impossible for orphans. If they weren't sold off, they were left to die. Damn, why start as a fisherman, and one who lost his boat no less? Even a farmer's life would be better. Difficult, difficult, difficult. Just then, a powerful surge of energy pierced through Liang Qu's mind. memories flooding him as if he'd swallowed a whole pack of mint candy, cooling him to the core. What on earth was happening? Liang Qu's limbs trembled uncontrollably. Thankfully, the sensation came and went quickly. As his mind settled, it was as if the clouds parted, revealing the blue sky. A peculiar, enormous cauldron appeared in his consciousness, interwoven with endless mystical patterns that left him dumbstruck. Its name, Cauldron of the Waters. Chapter 2, Commanding the Waters. Cauldron of the Waters. The cauldron that commands the waters of the world. An inexplicable rush of information overwhelmed Liang Qu, leaving him deeply shaken. Had his golden finger appeared. The cauldron had an ancient, square shape with a greenish-black hue, exuding a powerful aura. It resided in his mind, making it hard to gauge its true size, but its presence was striking. Engraved on the cauldron were numerous patterns. The most prominent was a giant ape entwined with a heavenly dragon, followed by other mythical figures like a bird with a human face and a creature with a dragon's head and human body. On another side stood a black-robed emperor, occupying nearly half the surface, flanked by a spear-wielding deity and numerous other human-like figures. One side depicted beasts, the other humans. As Liang Qu was pondering this, his attention shifted to another detail. Cauldron Master, Liang Qu. Available Spirit, Water Monkey White. Extracting, Extracted, Integrate. Spirits of the waters. Integrating a spirit grants its life force, bloodline, and innate talents. It's really a golden finger. But why a water monkey? Was it because he drowned? A modern phrase popped into Liang Qu's mind. An old man, the subway, a cell phone. No, that's irrelevant. Liang Qu shook his head, refocusing. To integrate or not? He glanced at the walls around him, then touched his now full stomach. Did he really have a choice? He couldn't accept living an ordinary life. Why were people born the same, with 2 eyes and a mouth, yet some had noble blood and others lowly? Why did some drink broth while shouting at others, while others starved and endured the scolding? He couldn't forget the martial artist who once shattered a human-sized boulder with a single punch. What even was a martial artist? Integrate. With Liang Qu's decision, a semi-transparent white spirit of a monkey flew out of the cauldron and merged seamlessly into his body, as if swimming through the air. A surge of heat coursed from his spine, spreading to every limb and organ. If his life had previously been a flickering candle, now it felt like a fresh length of wax had been added, no longer wavering. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. The sensation was fleeting, the warmth dissipating too quickly, leaving him craving more. Integration complete. Cauldron Master, Liang Qu. Integrated Spirit, Water Monkey White 5% Fusion. Essence of the Waters, none. Affinity with Rivers, none. Evaluation. The Water Monkey Spirit hails from the mighty Whirlpool Lord but offers minimal enhancement, a mere ability of a minor figure. Using the essence of the waters boosts fusion and improves the quality of spirits. But who is the Whirlpool Lord? The name sounds familiar, and where can I find the essence of the waters? Lingering questions filled Liang Qu's mind, but he wasn't in a rush. Step by step, he would figure it out. First, he wanted to know what this water monkey truly was. Water Monkey White, a river-dwelling spirit monkey loved by waterways, capable of water manipulation. Current low fusion allows reduced water depletion, manipulation of up to 30 pounds of water, detailed sensing within 3 meters, vague sensing up to 5 meters, and decreased presence in water. Upgrading with essence of the waters may enhance it to the Water Langer green that rides waves, or the Water King Monkey purple capable of overwhelming rivers. Liang Qu was overjoyed. The name was unimpressive, but the ability was extraordinary. It was perfect for an adept in the water. The Zhonghua water system stretched for thousands of miles, nourishing the land and its countless inhabitants. The vast Zhonghua wetlands, a massive lake straddling multiple provinces, was filled with rare aquatic plants, valuable fish, and minerals. But treasures in the water were hard to claim. The deep waters housed formidable monsters that human warriors struggled against, and the murky depths hid treasures well. Occasionally, a lucky fisherman might find something valuable in the shallows. Just last month, someone at the neighboring pier caught a tiger head fish and sold it for a hefty 3 taels and 5 jian of silver. If he truly mastered this ability, wouldn't he have an untapped reservoir of wealth? Moreover, with just 5% fusion, he could control 30 pounds of water. At full fusion, wouldn't that exceed 600 pounds? To an ordinary person, he would practically be a water god incarnate. And there were more spirits to acquire and upgrade. If the white spirit was already formidable, what would the green or purple spirits be like? The thought of manipulating rivers and waves was enthralling. White, green, purple, were there higher levels still? Liang Qu was now determined to acquire the essence of the waters, though he had no means at the moment. That would come in time. As for why this artifact chose him, Liang Qu was sure it was a reward for his heroic act. What else? His poor diet, his empty pockets, his lack of family. There was no need to overthink. With this golden finger, Liang Qu had no intention of lying idle. The old Liang Qu didn't know how to fish, struggling with day-to-day survival and avoided by others. Now, with even just 5% of the water monkey's power, few fishermen in Yixing City could match him. Good days were on the horizon. To the pier. The night was dark, the streets lined with orderly buildings. Liang Qu surveyed this unfamiliar world. Yixing City had only one true street that ran from its center to the pier at Shangrao, paved with neat blue stone. The rest were dirt paths trodden by feet. Most homes extended from that main street. A true small town. From what he knew, a prosperous town lay nearby, and beyond that, counties, states, and provinces. It was no surprise, this was an ancient world. Cities were not larger than counties but were akin to marketplaces that grew into settlements, much like Zhengtu City, in water margin, more village than city. One day, he'd explore this world. At the pier, a panting Liang Qu scanned the water's surface. Approaching a shallow area, a sudden idea flashed in his mind as his eyes locked onto a spot. A thumb-sized fish surfaced for air. Guided by instinct, Liang Qu reached out to catch the tiny fish. Startled, the fish darted away, but an invisible pressure closed in from all directions. Before it could react, the fish was in his grasp. Impressive. Liang Qu lifted a handful of clear water, the fish wriggling in his palm. His eyes shone. He licked his lips, then placed his hand back in the water. As soon as the water touched the river, the fish flitted away, only for the pressure to return, capturing it once more. After practicing 4 or 5 times and gaining confidence, Liang Qu stood up. A thumb-sized fish required minimal effort, with manageable energy use, but larger-scale manipulation was draining. Too bad the spirit's fusion is low, making my water control basic. Just pressure, no slicing water blades, and forget blood control. Someday, though. Stripping down in the reeds, Liang Qu waded in. The moment he submerged, he felt the difference, no cold. Mid-autumn nights chilled the waters of the wetlands. His father had succumbed to a cold after going in. So this was the benefit of being one with water. Securing his hair, Liang Qu dove in. Ripples broke the moonlight. Immersed completely, a sense of belonging swept over him, reminiscent of the comfort of his past life. He recalled the contentment of taking a 1 yuan bus to a city park, watching the sunset, then heading home to eat noodles on his couch. It took him a moment to recompose himself. To live better. He stilled his thoughts, focusing on finding fish. The dark, deep water was daunting. His sensing ability allowed him to detect living things up to 5 meters away, but fish couldn't sense him until he was within 1.5 meters. He encountered many fish but ignored the ones of low value. Sustenance came cheap, a bun cost 2 to 3 coins, and a hefty 8-coin meat pastry could satisfy him. Recovery from malnutrition took time. After several rounds, Liang Qu, surfacing for air, found the perfect target. A large yellow fish, roughly the size of an adult's forearm, weighing about 3 pounds. Yellow fish were unique to the Zhonghuai area, not particularly nourishing but prized for their flavor. Connoisseurs would pay a good price. This one could fetch 70 to 90 coins. It was said that a pound of fish required 10 pounds of force, precisely the limit of Liang Qu's water control. Yellowfish, with their fine scales, weren't as slippery as ordinary fish. Thinking quickly, Liang Qu approached within 1.5 meters, at the edge of his stealth range, and lunged. Startled, the fish tried to flee, but Liang Qu's hand closed in, the water pressure locking it in place. He glided forward, fingers like hooks, seizing the scaleless fish and surfacing with it. Using a reed to string it through the gills, he grinned. 80 coins secured. Chapter 3, Conquering the Pig Dragon. Just like that. 80 coins, just like that. Equivalent to a day's work for a fisherman. Liang Qu's face lit up with excitement. Earning 80 coins so easily was addictive. It was exhausting, though. Controlling a 30-pound current felt like running a kilometer, and his stomach began to grumble again. Since merging with the Z-Spirit, his physical fitness had improved slightly, but his body was still frail at the core. With the night still deep, Liang Qu decided to rest before trying again. Uncle Chen struggled with 80 coins because he had children and elderly parents to support. Liang Qu had no such burdens, making this income substantial. He wondered if he could catch another lucky break tonight. Half an hour later, Liang Qu entered the water again. Thanks to his water monkey abilities, he expended little energy while swimming. 100 meters felt like walking 200 or 300, and he could now hold his breath for up to 7 minutes, not while being still, but while swimming, an astonishing feat. Unfortunately, his luck seemed to run out after catching the yellowfish. After changing breaths 4 or 5 times and wandering for nearly half an hour, he only spotted a mottled fish worth around 100 coins midway. Spotted fish weren't as valuable as yellowfish. This one was large, weighing about 10 pounds, hence the 100-coin value. A fish weighing 10 pounds could exert a force close to 100 pounds when it thrashed suddenly. In his current state, with only a 30-pound water control capacity, Liang Qu found it challenging and could only watch it swim away. Maybe next time, I should bring a spear. It would help deal with larger fish, though dead fish are less valuable than live ones. And I don't have a fishing net. While contemplating, he drifted unknowingly to a shallower area, the riverbed about 10 meters deep. Is that lotus root? As he touched the riverbed, he sensed a plant's stem. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be lotus root. Lotus root in such deep water. Liang Qu was amazed. Whether floating, emergent, or submerged plants, they all required photosynthesis and respiration. The deeper the water, the less conducive it was for these processes. Lotus roots, which needed ample light and air, typically couldn't survive beyond 2 meters of depth. Recognizing the unusual nature of this environment, Liang Qu grew excited. Plants needed photosynthesis and respiration, but that was for ordinary flora. Special plants were exceptions in this world brimming with extraordinary power. The fact that these roots could grow this deep meant they were exceptional. He'd heard of an old man named Zhao in the neighboring town, who owned a cold pond dozens of meters deep with chestnut lilies at the bottom. Consuming them allegedly prolonged life and attracted martial artists, though it wasn't verified. Could he have found something similar? Following the trail of the lotus root, Liang Qu swam further. The root was indeed long, spanning over 10 meters without an end in sight. Just as he planned to keep moving, a blurry, large object appeared within his perception. What was that? It was huge. Liang Qu halted and pulled back. The figure didn't react, it hadn't noticed him. Faced with this potentially valuable lotus root, Liang Qu hesitated but decided not to leave. Instead, he cautiously circled, using his water sense to assess his surroundings. The creature lay hidden in the silt. It was long, about 2 meters, not a fish, with 4 limbs and a long, slender body. 3 meters away, Liang Qu could make out a vague outline, enough to trigger recognition. His eyebrows raised. It was a pig-woman dragon. The term was colloquial, essentially meaning crocodile. Fishermen used it for all types of crocodiles, and Zhonghuai had more than one species. Liang Qu couldn't tell which type this was beneath the silt. The most common in this area was likely the Taihua crocodile. Liang Qu's predecessor had seen one, resembling the Yangtze crocodile from his past life, small, about 2 meters as an adult, weighing over 30 kilograms. For an adult human, that wasn't significant. Its weight was a weakness, but that was on land. Underwater, especially for Liang Qu, who was a malnourished teenager, it posed a real threat. Besides, This Taihua crocodile lying beside the lotus root, does it know the root is beneficial? Upon careful sensing, Liang Qu noticed signs of the silt being disturbed, with gnawed lotus root pieces exposed. Trouble. Taking the lotus root would mean confronting this crocodile, which had clearly made its home here. Maybe it wasn't impossible. Liang Qu deliberated, realizing it might be feasible. He wasn't being reckless. In his previous life, he'd watched a wilderness survival streamer named Bai Fang and learned that crocodiles had a critical weakness: they had powerful jaws but weak opening strength. An adult could clamp a crocodile's snout shut with one hand, neutralizing most of its violent strength. But only humans could precisely grasp objects. Even apes couldn't due to short thumbs, which was why crocodiles appeared invincible in nature. This small crocodile before him could be subdued with Liang Qu's water control skills and his weight. Death rolls wouldn't be an issue. It was late October, and the water was quite cold, making cold-blooded creatures like crocodiles more sluggish than in summer. Perhaps this one was too slow to notice an approaching creature. With time, place, and opportunity in his favor, he felt it was time to act. If only I could control it. A crocodile this size could catch fish for me. It's exhausting doing it myself, and I don't actually want to be a fisherman. Ambition crept in. Believing he could handle the pig-woman-dragon, a bolder idea struck Liang Qu. As if responding to his thoughts, the cauldron of the waters in his mind trembled, and a strange rune resembling the ancient water character lit up on its surface. More information poured in. Blood. Rune. Command water beasts. By drawing this rune with blood on a water beast, one could potentially become its master. Amazing. The cauldron of the waters had such power. Liang Qu's eyes sparkled as he processed this. This artifact was far more powerful than he imagined. People would fight to the death over it. Now he couldn't let the pig-woman-dragon go. Having a companion like that would be immensely helpful, and crocodiles, with their limbs, were far more useful than ordinary fish. Determined, Liang Qu found a rock with sharp edges, roughly the size of a human head, and maneuvered it closer to the crocodile's silt nest. Positioning it above the snout, he smashed it down. The water parted, aiding the force, and the rock cleaved through the current, striking the resting crocodile. With the cooling temperatures, its blood circulation was sluggish, making it even less responsive to sudden attacks. The reptile's body stiffened momentarily, then the pain surged through it. This was his chance. Liang Qu leapt forward, positioning himself behind the crocodile, using the rock for leverage. His right arm strained, veins bulging, while he cut his left hand on the sharp edge, letting blood flow into the water. The scent of blood triggered the crocodile's ferocity. It thrashed wildly, attempting to open its jaws, but another wave of controlled water clamped its mouth shut. Pinned under the rock and restricted by water pressure, the crocodile could only flail, its iron-like tail lashing the stones around them. Liang Qu tensed every muscle, as taut as a drawn bowstring. His blood vessels bulged, fighting to hold the creature down. Cold sweat mingled with the river currents. He was already drained from controlling 2 consecutive 20-pound water currents, but there was no time for rest. His 3 fingers, bleeding, traced a mark across the crocodile's back. The blood coalesced, forming an imprint on the scales under a mysterious force. A crimson glow burst through the darkness. The crocodile's vertical pupils expanded as a primitive spiritual force surged into Liang Qu's mind. While manipulating water currents drained physical energy, controlling the crocodile was mentally exhausting, as if he'd stayed up for nights and taken a grueling test. Pain seared his head, nearly causing him to faint. But beasts, after all, weren't as intelligent as humans. Within a few breaths, a unique mental bond formed in his consciousness. The crocodile's once dull eyes now sparkled, no longer ferocious but showing a hint of intelligence. The cauldron of the waters glowed once more. Taihua crocodile now under command. Can evolve. Liang Qu's eyes gleamed with joy. It worked. A pig-woman-dragon. Now his loyal servant. Chapter 4, The Foundation of Life. Already commanding the Taihua crocodile, evolution possible. Evolution. Holding his groggy head, Liang Qu couldn't afford to check further and quickly surfaced for air. After panting heavily for half a quarter hour, his body finally felt a bit better. Looks like using command recklessly isn't wise, overuse might turn one into an idiot, and failure could be even more dangerous. Still, the option of evolution granted by the cauldron of the waters piqued Liang Qu's curiosity. The Taihua crocodile, at nearly 2 meters, was already at its limit. Could it evolve further? Connecting again, the cauldron emitted a radiant glow. 80 units of essence of the waters can evolve the Taihua crocodile into a Jiaomu crocodile. 80 units. Was that a lot or a little? Liang Qu had no concept of it, especially since he had none of the essence of the waters at hand. He had no choice but to set it aside for now. After resting for a bit, he dived back into the water, eager to examine the suspected treasure plant, the lotus root, which was the main prize this time. Breaking off a piece from the mud, Liang Qu let the pig-woman dragon approach and take a bite. The pig-woman dragon paddled over with its small claws, bobbing its head as it swallowed. Liang Qu sensed the creature's joyous emotions through their mental link and, seeing the signs of bites on the lotus roots, confirmed they were indeed valuable and non-toxic. The crocodile resting there wasn't a coincidence. With the verification done, he didn't hesitate any longer. Breaking off another piece, he brushed off the mud and took a big bite, making sure water wouldn't spill into his mouth or nose. After a grueling night, the pancake he ate earlier had long been digested, and his stomach rumbled with hunger. If he hadn't integrated the Z-spirit to boost his physical resilience, he would still be as frail as he had been when he first arrived. Liang Qu had no desire to go through such hardship again. Hunger was the hardest thing in the world to bear. The deep-water lotus root didn't have the usual sticky mucus or fibers, and it tasted slightly moist, crunchy like an apple, unexpectedly delicious. A few bites were enough to finish a piece. Once swallowed, it transformed into a warm current in his stomach, and to his surprise, the 3 fingers he had scraped during command began to heal slowly before his eyes. It truly was a treasure plant. Overjoyed, Liang Qu noted that this plant seemed to lean towards healing properties. Since he wasn't heavily injured, the energy compensated for his long-term malnourishment instead. Without a mirror, he could still sense the improvement in his vitality. He no longer appeared as worn and haggard, a sight that would make others avoid him. It was a pity that he couldn't gain more detailed knowledge, perhaps its uses extended beyond this. Essence of the waters plus 0.1. Essence of the waters. So this was it. Eyes wide, Liang Qu stared at the prompt before him, stunned at how easily he had obtained the long-coveted resource. Getting a healing treasure plant was already a pleasant surprise, but this was beyond expectations. Wait a moment, if one piece yielded 0.1, wouldn't consuming them all result in several units? Overjoyed, Liang Qu dug up a few more pieces and devoured them in one go. However, the results weren't as he'd hoped. Though the essence of the waters could be gained repeatedly, not all lotus roots contained it. Only those near the spot where the pig-woman dragon rested had any, while those farther away did not. In total, there were about 23 useful pieces. Including the 2 he already ate, he gained about 2.5 units of essence of the waters. Unfortunately, the volume of each piece was quite substantial, and after a few bites, he was already too full to continue. Let's see how much fusion progress 0.2 units of essence will give. Liang Qu thought. So far, the water monkey Z-spirit had significantly benefited him. The initial integration alone had turned him from a near-starving state to a robust condition. What would happen at full integration? As for the evolution of the pig-woman dragon, although it would be ideal for such a ferocious water beast to evolve, Liang Qu now understood how outrageous 80 units of essence of the waters were. It was like a drop in the ocean. He could only wait for future opportunities. With a thought, the cauldron shuddered, emitting light blue points of light that floated into the air. A spectral image of a monkey appeared behind him as the points coalesced and merged into it. Cauldron Master, Liang Qu. Refining Z-Spirit, Water Monkey White Fusion, 5%. Essence of the Waters, none. River's Favor, none. Water Beast Command, Taihua Crocodile Evolvable. Assessment. The water monkey Z spirit originates from the great Whirlpool Lord and can ignite the potential of a small, insignificant figure. Doesn't it increase immediately? Liang Qu frowned at the indicator, but he could sense that his affinity with the water environment had improved, suggesting that full fusion wouldn't take too long, a passable result. The ease of obtaining essence of the waters reassured him that, eventually, he would gather enough. Zhang Shun, known for surviving underwater for 7 days and nights, could Liang Qu not manage 3 days and nights as the water monkey? Thinking this, much of Liang Qu's unease in this new world dissipated. In his original world, no matter how indifferent society was, seeing someone on the brink of starvation would usually prompt an offer of food. Here, however, scarcity ruled, and indifference was the norm. Without family or friends nearby, he had initially been filled with apprehension. A centenarian once famously said that living is about finding peace of mind. With his newfound water skills, Liang Qu now had the means to secure his existence. Resurfacing, he glanced at his new underling, the pig woman dragon. Its rough hide bore no real damage despite being struck by rocks. It lay still in the water, docile as a house pet. Thanks to their mental link, it was even more obedient than a dog. Evolving was out of the question with 80 units needed, but the pig woman dragon would still make an excellent hunter. However, looking at its sluggish movements, Liang Qu slapped his forehead. Oh no, it's really going into hibernation. What luck. His new ally was lethargic due to the cold weather and slow blood flow. Though it could still act in bursts, it would be unreliable for catching fish regularly. It can't move well in the cold. Then I'll call you, can't move. Fine, just stay here and be a guard. Bite any small fish or shrimp trying to steal food. The pig woman dragon, now named, wagged its tail and burrowed into the mud. Once the water calmed, the spot appeared as ordinary as before. No one would guess that a treasure plant was hidden below. On the shore of the wetlands, Liang Qu surfaced and surveyed the area. Ensuring he was alone, he grabbed a yellowfish and started heading home. Unlike the saltwater fish of his past, the yellowfish from the wetlands didn't die immediately after being caught. Liang Qu tied its head and tail with reed leaves, using an archery technique that kept it alive and fresh out of the water. Walking along, he felt content, as if he was carrying not just a fish but a pouch heavy with coins. It seemed that having a golden finger was indeed essential. Just a few hours ago, he had been lost and alone, and now life didn't seem so harsh. He was already better off than most common folk in Yixing City. 80 copper coins was no small amount. But with winter approaching, he needed at least 2 sets of clothing, as his current ones were in tatters. He also needed salt, rice, soapwort, chairs, bowls. Wait, Liang Qu suddenly realized that 80 coins wouldn't go as far as he'd hoped. Still, with ability in hand, life would eventually improve. Now for the next pressing issue, he didn't have a boat. Short-sightedness leads to immediate worries. Integrating the water monkey Z spirit had greatly improved his underwater capabilities. He could catch good fish without a boat, but he needed a cover. Once or twice might be fine, but over time, people would grow suspicious. Even if you were a natural fishing prodigy, familiar with fish paths, it couldn't be that miraculous. Without a boat, would he have to dive in freezing water every day to fish? His family did have a boat, but it was taken by a local bully, Bald Zhang. Bald Zhang was a well-known rogue in Yixing City, infamous for his temper and fists learned from a martial arts school. After Liang Qu's father passed away, their most valuable asset, a black-sailed boat, caught Bald Zhang's eye. He took it under the pretense that Liang's father had borrowed money for drink and now owed him. For fishermen, a boat was their lifeline, serving as both home and livelihood. Their houses' crumbling walls were because most of their possessions were on that boat. It was absurd, who would borrow from a thug to drink? But afraid of Bald Zhang's fists, no one dared intervene for an orphan, leaving Liang Qu to his fate. To add insult to injury, Bald Zhang had come back and taken the last of their 3 bushels of rice as debt repayment. This was nothing short of squeezing the life out of an orphan. Someday, I'll reclaim what's mine. That way, I can keep my golden finger hidden. Once I save up enough, I'll go to town to train in martial arts and see just how skilled the instructors really are. Then, with a decent status, things will be easier. Deep in thought, Liang Qu found himself at his doorstep, only to discover someone waiting for him there. Young master, have you made up your mind about the matter? Chapter 5, Mr. Zhao sent an invitation. Staring at the two figures swaying at the doorway, Liang Qu frowned. Who are these people at this hour, loitering at my doorstep instead of sleeping? At the entrance stood a middle-aged man and a slim servant. The question had come from the fair-skinned middle-aged man, whose clean and well-kept clothing marked him as no ordinary townsfolk. Seeing the obvious air of significance about him, Liang Qu quickly searched his mind. On the other side, Zheng Shang, noticing Liang Qu's silence, assumed he was still hesitant. He gestured, and the servant lifted a sack, opening its mouth. Zheng Shang rolled up his sleeves and reached inside. In the moonlight, Liang Qu saw the man scoop out a handful of pristine white rice. Liang Qu swallowed hard. The hunger pains he'd felt when he first arrived had left him with a lingering fear. Zheng Shang slowly emptied the rice back into the bag. Well, acknowledge our master Zhao as your godfather, and this bushel of fine rice is yours. More than that, you'll eat such quality every day. Godfather. Hearing this word, Liang Qu's mind clicked, but not in the sense of, if you do not mind, I wish to call you father. Rather, the entire sequence of events became clear. The middle-aged man before him was none other than Zheng Shang, one of the stewards of Master Zhao's household in the nearby town known for its cold pond. The purpose of their visit was simple, to purchase a servant. And if it had come to his doorstep, it was clear who the intended servant was. The reason they called it becoming a godson was due to an edict by Dishan's founding emperor prohibiting private enslavement. Wealthy families had circumvented this by adopting so-called sons and daughters, certified by witnesses. It was not unlike legal loopholes in later eras. Selling oneself could be a viable path given such destitution. A steward offering fine grain was indeed a show of respect. Yet there was the troubling question, who hires a servant with such enthusiasm? Rumor had it that Master Zhao had a liking for young men. When Liang Qu first arrived, he noticed that the young man whose body he now inhabited shared his name and had a strikingly similar appearance, his double in another world. Though the years of fishing with his father had darkened his skin, his features were still handsome. Given care, he would look exceptional. Pairing these facts, those rumors seemed more credible. A shiver ran through him, and his whole body recoiled. So, have you considered? Zheng Shang pressed again. The last visit had ended with, I need to think it over, but now, he was sure that if Liang Qu didn't accept soon, he might starve to death within days. Zheng Shang had even brought along a broker to ensure no backing out or accusations of coercion that could drag Zhao's family into court. It wasn't that Zhao's family feared a lawsuit, who liked extra trouble. No one enjoyed the cleanup. The broker's servant chimed in, exactly, young man. Serving in Zhao's household is a fortune many couldn't dream of. Why slog through wind and rain just to barely scrape by? Screw this, fortune. Whoever wants it can take it. Liang Qu cursed internally but maintained a composed face as he politely declined. Forgive me, Steward Zheng, but I fear I'm too weak to enjoy such fortune. It feels wrong to waste your time. Perhaps this yellowfish can serve as my apology. The broker's servant gaped. Zheng Zhang's expression shifted, not expecting Liang Qu's refusal. He leaned forward, forcing Liang Qu to retreat a step, though they were still too close. Suddenly, he noticed something odd. Why did Liang Qu look so well? No signs of starvation. And this yellowfish, did he catch it? Thoughts raced in Zheng Zhang's mind, confused at how an orphan seemed to have found fortune so quickly. Liang Qu's heart thudded as he scrambled for words to protect himself, but Zheng Shang unexpectedly relaxed. No matter. This was always a consensual deal. An apology isn't necessary. Keep the fish, it's rare to catch one, he said, turning to leave with the broker's servant in tow. Left standing with the fish in hand, Liang Qu's mind spun. Did I offend him? In theory, he had every right to refuse, but for the weak to turn down the powerful was itself a risk. And the entire situation bristled with inconsistencies, full of questions. Why would a prominent family like the Zhaos so quickly learn about a struggling orphan in Yixing City? Bald Zhang was Zhao's family. I must become a martial artist as soon as possible. Once I achieve that, Zhao's family won't be able to touch me. With that thought, Liang Qu drifted into an uneasy sleep. The next morning, amidst the curious stares of fishermen, Liang Qu sold the yellow fish to the finest tavern in Yixing City for 80 copper coins. It was still too early for taxes and levies. Since neither he nor his ancestors rented fishing gear, no deductions loomed. Yixing City's proximity to the larger city meant good governance and no fishermen gangs, so his earnings went straight into his pocket. Had it been some remote village, he'd have been skinned by taxes and gangs, teetering on the brink of rebellion, awaiting only a spark. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. With his earnings, Liang Qu found a modest eatery and ordered 2 pounds of meat, rice, and vegetables, savoring the meal. But news traveled fast in the small city. Before long, people were buzzing about how Liang Qu caught a yellowfish worth 80 copper, pestering him for the location, which became tiresome. "Hey, kid, where'd you find that fish?" "Spill it," said a youth a couple of years older than Liang Qu, trying to snag some meat off his plate only to be smacked away by a chopstick. "Ouch, you're too rough," the youth winced, shaking his hand. Liang Qu stayed unmoved. In this town, everyone of the same age knew each other. This was Li Libo, though not close enough to be called a friend. His family hadn't lent food during tough times. It wasn't resentment. Rural life was hard, and everyone scraped by. Not lending was normal. It was those relatives who mocked him that stung. "I already told you, 3 miles right from Shengrao Pier, by the reeds." "I don't buy it. You'd never share a real spot. Anyone with sense would keep that a secret to make a fortune," Li Libo said, giving up on the food and pouring himself tea. Li Libo was known for lazing around and gossiping. Liang Qu seized the moment. "Tell me something useful, and you'll get some meat." Li Libo's eyes lit up. "Deal, ask away. What do you know about the martial arts schools in Pingyang town?" Li Libo smirked knowingly. "Ah, everyone dreams of being a martial artist, huh? Good thing you asked me. Details, please." "There are 3 schools. The best is owned by Master Yang, as the other 2 heads are self-taught, while Master Yang is a retired soldier. And soon, I'll be training there too." Li Libo's reply was more bragging than informative. "You?" Liang Qu prodded skeptically. Predictably, Li Libo got defensive and spilled all he knew, enlightening Liang Qu on the martial world. The basics were simple. Hone the body, use herbal baths, repeat until ready to break through stages: skin, muscle, bone, blood. Once past these 4, one became a martial artist. Before that, just a fighter. Higher levels existed, but common folk knew nothing. Schools weren't picky, they took anyone with the coin. Master Yang's school charged 7 taels of silver for training, 10 for food and board, 20 for lodging and baths, meals extra, steeper but fitting the elite reputation. 7 taels. Not impossible, Liang Qu mused. "Then you're..." "Shish, keep it quiet. My family's sending me in 2 months, Li Libo preened. "I'll be tougher than Bald Zhang, who trained a bit but still got beaten up." Chapter 6, The Hatred of the Stolen Boat. Bald Zhang bullied everyone, taking a fish from one family's basket today, another one tomorrow. It wasn't much, but enough to disgust people. Every fisherman in Yixing City had been shaken down by him at some point. Many widows had faced his advances, and he was long despised by everyone. People wouldn't say anything to his face, but in private, Li Libo expressed his disdain openly. Liang Qu's expression shifted, and he asked, "He got beaten up?" "When?" "Maybe this morning. When I saw him, he had a huge bruise around his eye and was limping. Someone roughed him up good." "Who'd dare beat him up?" "No idea." Li Libo shook his head, then added in a low voice, "Actually, he's not that tough. He only spent 2 days at a martial arts school before getting kicked out for causing trouble. What could he possibly learn? I'd bet it's just for show. He's a paper tiger, but no one calls him out on it." Liang Qu shot him a sideways look. "If he's just a paper tiger, why don't you expose him?" Even if he's weak, he's still got that big build, Li Libo chuckled awkwardly. Anyway, he snuck out on his boat today, probably scared someone's out for revenge and went to the lake to heal. If I hadn't happened to be taking a dump in the reeds, no one would have noticed. You're only the second person who knows. Liang Qu nodded in understanding. Are we done here? I've been talking for ages, and that meat. It's all yours. Ha, generous, so generous. I haven't had meat in so long, trying to save up every copper at home. Heh heh. Hold on. Liang Qu put a hand on the plate. What now? Never mind. Go ahead and eat. Li Libo was puzzled but didn't dwell on it, and he ate with gusto. Liang Qu shook his head, originally thinking to keep things under wraps. But he realized he was overthinking it, taking himself too seriously. Out in the Zhonghuai wetlands. A small boat floated quietly on the lake. Bald Zhong, whose head was covered in warts and scars, lay inside. Usually fierce-looking, Bald Zhong now seemed like a plucked chicken, dejected and with a bruised eye that was downright laughable. I was fine yesterday. How'd I end up like this today? FC King Zheng Shang, he went way too far, my kidneys. Bald Zhong clutched his side, face twisted with pain. Because he'd been a menace to so many, he didn't dare recover at home, fearing someone might take advantage to settle the score. So, he rowed out to the lake to hide. He sighed. This is the only safe place. Not necessarily. His heart nearly stopped. Just as he was about to get up, a burst of water splashed in his face, forcing its way into his lungs as if it were alive. He inhaled sharply, feeling his lungs fill with water. Then, a figure with loose hair climbed aboard, kicking him hard in the crotch. An unbearable pain flooded his senses. Seeing Bald Zhong turning purple, Liang Qu didn't hesitate. Veins popping on his hand, he gripped a rock and brought it down hard on Zhong's wart-covered head. Wham! Bald Zhong's eyes rolled back as he passed out. Seeing him motionless, Liang Qu dropped the rock, which rolled to the corner of the boat with a thud. Was it really that easy? With just a single move, this menace, who'd even attended a martial arts school, was down. Liang Qu panted, staring at his hands and the water receding from Zhong's face. He'd prepared thoroughly, but hadn't expected it to be this easy. He'd spent a lot of time tracking him, even braced himself for injury. He'd hidden a piece of lotus root on his chest for luck and warmed himself with hot water before lying in ambush underwater. In the end, none of it was necessary. Water control, it was practically a cheat against ordinary people. All he had to do was catch them off guard, smothering their face with water, and even the strongest wouldn't stand a chance. Looking at the unconscious Bald Zhong, Liang Qu took a hemp rope from his waist and tied Zhong's hands and feet. Searching him, he found 2 taels of silver, an unexpected bonus. After organizing the boat, Liang Qu tucked away anything sharp and grabbed another rope to secure him further. Then he rowed the boat to a secluded patch of reeds. After resting there for a while, eating some lotus root to recover, Liang Qu splashed water on Bald Zhong's face. Bald Zhong slowly came to, with a view of swaying reeds and a blood-red sunset over the lake. He coughed, spitting up water, and pain shot through his body, especially his crotch. Dazed, he slowly remembered what had happened, his eyes filling with anger as he looked around. It's you. Liang Qu responded to his glare with a swift kick to his gut, nearly knocking him out again. Bald Zhong finally realized his predicament. He was in a deserted area, and if Liang Qu wanted to kill him, no one would ever know. Quickly, he changed his tone. Water bro, I was wrong. You should punish me. I liked your arrogant attitude from earlier better. Come on, water bro, you're joking with me now, right? Bald Zhong forced a laugh, his mind racing. He never expected that it would be Liang Qu, once a pitiful nobody, attacking him like this. What had happened to make him change so drastically? He'd looked half dead just days ago. And that water control, could it be some kind of dark magic? Liang Qu sat at the bow, his foot nudging Zhong's head. Where's my black-sailed boat? Where did it go? Bald Zhong mumbled until Liang Qu raised his foot again, making him stammer, I sold it. Sold. Liang Qu demanded. Who did you sell it to? The fishing gear rentals. DMN. Liang Qu could barely hold back his rage. Anyone else would have been fine, but the fishing gear rentals. That place was run by people just like Bald Zhang. The fishing gear rentals, supposedly a place to rent boats and fishing gear, charged outrageous rates. Many people who rented a boat were stuck working there their whole lives to pay it off, endlessly exploited. In other towns, they practically forced you to rent. Seeing Liang Qu about to explode, Bald Zhang pleaded, fishing boats don't sell easily. I needed drinking money, so I had to sell it cheap. How much? F4 taels. You son of AB*TCH. My black-sailed boat, sold for a rowboat price. Liang Qu kicked him again. A metallic taste rose in Zhang's throat. He wanted to speak, but Liang Qu didn't give him the chance until he finished his beating. The rest, there's still 2 taels, in my pocket. So that silver I found was mine all along. Liang Qu realized, seething with rage. He'd practically taken his own money back. What about the Zhao household? That was me too. Liang Qu's suspicions were confirmed. Zhang had snitched on him. After stealing the boat, Bald Zhang had noticed Liang Qu's good looks. Knowing that Master Zhao fancied young men, he figured it'd be easy money and told Zhao's steward, Zheng Shang. When Zheng came by to make an offer, Liang Qu said he'd think about it. With nothing in it for him, Zhang didn't get paid, but Zheng hinted he should help convince Liang Qu. To earn his silver, Zhang snuck in, stealing what little food Liang Qu had left, then reported again. However, Zheng had felt conned and had beaten Zhang up that very night. Being part of the Zhao household, even though Zheng wasn't particularly strong, Zhang didn't dare fight back. So he'd taken his boat to the lake, hiding to recover, giving Liang Qu the perfect opportunity. Chapter 7, Revenge. Liang Qu gritted his teeth. Zheng Shang, Bald Zhang, none of them are decent people. Last night, Zheng Shang left so briskly, not even taking the yellowfish. Liang Qu had thought the man just wanted to make a simple trade, even if it meant meddling with his freedom. But Dishan isn't exactly an equal and harmonious society. In the end, the final straw was laid by that damned servant. Water bro, big brother Shui, I've told you everything. I'll definitely pay back the silver I owe in the future. Please, show some mercy and let me go like a fart in the wind. Barely able to speak from exhaustion, Zhang Tianyu finally mustered the strength to string a coherent sentence together. Seeing Liang Qu look over, he quickly forced a smile. Liang Qu hesitated, looking conflicted, as though he was too soft-hearted. Zhang Tianyu felt a rush of joy and was just about to plead further when he noticed the figure next to him had disappeared. In its place, a shadow loomed overhead. Confused, he looked up and let out a terrified scream. He saw an upside-down human face coming closer, with jet-black eyes staring straight at him. A wild grin spread across the face framed by messy hair, with 2 rows of eerie white teeth nearly touching his face, as if they were ready to snap his neck. Water bro, big brother Shui, what are you doing? Don't scare me. Zhang Tianyu's heart nearly stopped. Terrified, he began to back away, 1 foot stepping into the water. Liang Qu, his expression now calm, stared intently at the blood-covered Bald Zhang. Just now, you saw me controlling water, didn't you? Controlling water? What are you talking about? I didn't see anything. Nothing at all. Whether you saw it or not doesn't matter. Liang Qu stood up, and the setting sun cast a long shadow across the small boat. The river breeze rustled the reed seeds, scattering their fluff. Zhang Tianyu's fear eased a bit as that terrifying face moved away. But with each passing moment, he felt increasingly uneasy under the shadow. He strained his neck to look up, but all he saw was a dark silhouette with a golden halo around it. He shifted slightly to get a better angle, and then he saw it, a mocking face, and above it, a stone raised high in the air. Zhang Tianyu's pupils contracted, and his throat trembled, but before he could cry out, the bloody taste surged up in his mouth. Thud, 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 splash. A massive splash stirred up in the reed marsh, with flecks of dark red swirling in the white foam. A shadow slid under the boat. The pig-woman dragon swayed its tail, dragging the corpse tied to the stone into deeper waters. Exhausted after everything, Liang Qu collapsed onto the boat. His heart pounded, and his saliva was sticky as glue. He raised his hand, seeing it tremble, his nails filled with bits of bloody froth. For the first time in his life, he'd killed someone with such ease, his action smooth and unhesitating. Afraid that Bald Zhang would struggle too much, Liang Qu didn't even dare to drown him, he had to smash his skull with a stone. Zhang Tianyu was ruthless. If I didn't strike him while he was down, even if I managed to scrape together money from fishing, once he healed, he'd be after me again. Ah! Liang Qu retched over the side of the boat, only managing to bring up a bit of stomach acid. Even though he'd thought it through and made up his mind, when it came time to act, his mind went blank. He didn't stop smashing until Bald Zhang's skull was completely caved in, a bloody mess. In the Zhanghuai wetlands, many predatory fish are attracted to the smell of blood. It wouldn't take long before every trace of Zhang Tianyu vanished from the world. After retching, Liang Qu sat back down on the boat. He couldn't afford to offend the Zhao household. His only choice was to scrape together 7 taels of silver as quickly as possible and head to the Yang Martial Arts School in Pingyang Town to learn martial arts, securing a better status. But how could he use this small boat in the open now? Time passed quickly. At the mist-shrouded pier, people bustled about. Around midnight, as fish schools emerged to feed, it was the perfect time for fishing. Experienced fishermen would untie their boats and head out. In the wetlands, however, a young man was poling a small boat against the flow, heading back to the pier. A man untying his boat was about to set off when he saw who it was. "Ah, Shui, doesn't your family have a black-sailed boat? How did you end up with a small boat, and why are you back at this hour?" Liang Qu glanced up and smiled. "Oh, it's Uncle Chen." This Uncle Chen wasn't Chen Qingzhong, who had brought him pastries when he first arrived. Yixing City had many people with the Chen surname, this was just another acquaintance. Seeing several fishermen gathered nearby, Liang Qu took on a sorrowful look, seeming on the verge of tears. "Uncle, you know, last month my father..." Mixing in a few angry words with a couple of sighs, Liang Qu haltingly shared how his father had passed away and how Bald Zhang had been bullying him since. Of course, he adjusted a few details. Instead of Bald Zhang directly stealing the black-sailed boat, he claimed that Bald Zhang had forced him to trade it for his own small boat. The fishermen listening nearby didn't doubt his story and even found it quite believable. Forcing a boat trade from another fisherman was nearly as bad as killing one's parent. Bald Zhang hadn't openly boasted about it, so only a few knew, and they certainly didn't know the specifics of whether or not an exchange had happened. Bald Zhang had always been a bully, but he avoided targeting big families and rarely pushed things to the extreme. It was only someone like Liang Qu, an orphan with no support but a valuable boat, that he felt free to torment. That Bald Zhang is truly wicked. He's been doing dirty deeds for too long. Yeah, always grabbing fish from my baskets. I'd love to smash him with an oar. For a moment, anger and curses filled the air at the pier, but on closer listening, it was clear that while many were resentful, no one was offering to help Liang Qu get justice or retrieve his black-sailed boat. Bald Zhang was big and tough, a bachelor with nothing to lose. No one wanted to stir up trouble for an orphan and bring trouble on themselves. Liang Qu sighed, lifting a wooden board to reveal the dozen or so fish inside. "I don't have good equipment anymore. I fished all day, and I'm exhausted. I caught a decent amount, though, so I'll head home to sleep." A few men glanced at the catch. It was just some grass carp and silver carp, worth about 20 or 30 copper coins. They nodded and, without further chit-chat, headed off to fish. Liang Qu felt a weight lift from his shoulders. If he had denied his connection to Bald Zhang completely, it would have seemed suspicious. If anyone examined the whole situation, they'd notice oddities. For instance, if they'd traded boats, why would Zhang Tianyu immediately sell the black-sailed boat? No matter how lazy, he wouldn't have left himself without any leverage, right? It could be explained away, but the logic would still seem weak. But people tend to be wary of overthinking, imagining that others pay far more attention to them than they really do. The world doesn't revolve around anyone. For things unrelated to them, people's memories are vague and easily led in new directions. No one would ever think that a mere boy could be bold enough, or strong enough, to ambush a robust grown man. As long as there's no glaring flaw, just a little planted seed of doubt will blossom into an established fact. Chapter 8. Calm after the storm, gaining a new ally. Back at the dock, Liang Qu handed over 2 copper coins for mooring fees and sold all his catch to the fishing gear rentals for 18 copper coins. The fishing gear rentals essentially operated like a lending organization, only instead of lending money, they lent out fishing boats and gear, taking fish catches as interest. Aside from renting out equipment, they handled part of the responsibilities of fishmongers, functioning like dealers. For fishermen who didn't rent from them, the prices were fair enough, saving them quite a bit of time. By now, it was midnight, but shops along the street were still open, business hours depended on demand. As long as fishermen went out to sea, someone would be open for business. Liang Qu's stomach was empty, so he found a small eatery and ordered a simple meal with 3 dishes, 1 meat, 1 vegetable, and rice. With no oil, salt, or firewood at home, cooking required a lot of extra ingredients, so eating out made sense. Everyone here was just scraping by, so this meal cost him exactly 18 copper coins. Saving up could wait, he needed to build his strength first. The creature he couldn't move fast but was intimidating, effective at blocking paths, a helpful assistant in catching fish. Early the next morning, Liang Qu walked down the street and saw Li Libo selling fish at a stall. "Well, you're looking pretty lively today. How about a fish head soup for some extra nourishment?" Li Libo hooked a large silver carp by its gills. "Sure." Li Libo was surprised. He had just been joking, but it turned out Liang Qu was serious. "Great. What's the occasion? Care to share some good news? If I told you, you might get scared. I'll just take this fish." Liang Qu kept things vague. Though Li Libo might suspect something, without proof, he wouldn't dare say a word. "Whoa, look who's talking big now." Li Libo laughed, stringing the fish with grass twine. "Here's your fish." Liang Qu handed over 10 copper coins. "That's too much. Consider the extra for a drink." "Oh, so you have money to burn, huh?" Though curious, Li Libo didn't hesitate to pocket the extra coins happily. For several days, Liang Qu followed the regular routine of a fisherman, going out to sea and earning about 30 copper coins a day from his catches. The Zhao household steward, Zheng Shang, hadn't come looking for him again, which gave him some peace of mind. Bald Zhang's disappearance didn't cause any stir. Being a lone wolf, nobody would worry about him unless he caused trouble. Perhaps by the end of autumn, around tax time, someone might notice, but that was still a month away. As for Li Libo, he'd long forgotten about it, assuming Bald Zhang was just lying low to recover from injuries. "It seems I can relax for a bit." After days of tension, Liang Qu could finally let down his guard and focus on his livelihood. Apart from 1 substantial meal daily to build his strength, Liang Qu relied on the treasure lotus roots for food. He had already eaten over 10 sections, gaining a total of 1.3 units of essence of the waters, which he used to increase his fusion rate. While rare, treasure plants with healing properties didn't matter as much to him as growing stronger. Strength meant fewer injuries. Cauldron Master, Liang Qu Refined Z Spirit, Water Monkey White Fusion Rate, 6.5% Essence of the Waters, None River's Blessing, None Commanded Water Beast, Taihua Crocodile Rating. The Z Spirit from the Great Huai Whirlpool Lord has faint potential, but its vitality is weak, barely a minor entity. With his essence of the waters exhausted, he needed about an hour to complete the fusion process. The 1.5 units of essence of the waters increased his fusion rate to 6.5%, enabling him to control 40 pounds of water, extend his underwater time to over 10 minutes, and marginally improve his physical strength and perception range. The effects of consuming the treasure lotus root weren't affected by absorbing the essence of the waters. After eating so much of the lotus root, Liang Qu could feel his vitality recovering, especially after long periods of hunger. Subscribe to Chinese novel audio wave. I can now command another water beast to help with fishing. Liang Qu sensed that his spiritual capacity was nearing its limit, allowing him to command up to 2 or 3 creatures of similar strength as the one he currently had. For safety, he decided he could handle one more beast of comparable capability. With autumn's chill, the pig-woman dragon moved sluggishly and was barely useful for catching fish. Without Liang Qu driving it, it would have gone into hibernation till spring. Together, he and the beast were managing about 30 coins worth of fish daily. He didn't target pricier fish to avoid drawing attention. If he was to aim higher, he'd go for something like the spotted tiger fish, priced in silver. Rowing his boat near the lotus area, Liang Qu slapped the water with his paddle. The pig-woman dragon appeared at the side of his boat, its scales dotted with stray weeds, scratching its back foot against its side and blinking at him. Liang Qu took off his shirt, grabbed a wooden spear, and dived into the water. The crocodile creature, can't move, swished its long tail as it swam beside him, the weeds atop its head drifting away with the current. The two of them began scouring their surroundings. In the dim light underwater, he could still see the bottom and the weeds in the shallows, but deeper areas grew pitch black, requiring him to rely more on his senses. Fish flitted by as Liang Qu stayed focused. Today's goal was a good ally. He kept to a set course, avoiding the deeper waters. Sometimes large water beasts ventured into the shallows, though they rarely exceeded 4 meters in length. The deep waters, however, were a different story. Old fishermen told tales of all kinds of monsters lurking below. After nearly an hour, he hadn't found what he was looking for. There were big fish, but none were particularly aggressive. He didn't mind. As any good fisherman knows, patience is key. As he dove past a grass carp, a giant shadow suddenly grazed the edge of his senses and vanished, taking the carp with it. That was fast. Liang Qu tensed, gripping his spear, calling the crocodile for backup. The shadow was huge, at least 2 meters long, a real monster. The crocodile sped to his side, circling warily, prepared for an ambush. At first, Liang Qu thought it was a chance encounter, but the shadow reappeared in his perception, circling him instead. It stayed just outside his range, occasionally slipping as close as 3 meters, enough for him to identify it, a 6-whiskered catfish. The 6-whiskered catfish, 2 meters long and weighing nearly 50 kilos, was a rare sight. Known for its fierce temperament, it created whirlpools with its fins to disorient prey before swallowing them whole, like a giant vacuum cleaner. Rumor had it that a child once drowned in Yixing City after being swallowed by one of these catfish. No doubt about it, this fish was treating Liang Qu as prey. Bold fish, 2 meters long, nearly 50 kilos, and daring to attack both a man and a crocodile. If it wanted to play dirty, so be it. This one fit his requirements perfectly. With a loud splash, the catfish spun near the river's surface, and Liang Qu ordered the crocodile to charge. Though slow-moving, its strikes were lightning fast, driving the catfish to halt. The catfish tried to evade, but the crocodile swung its tail like a sledgehammer, slamming the fish's head, leaving a blood streak. The catfish countered with a charge at the crocodile's soft underbelly, but to no avail. The crocodile latched onto the catfish's fin with its claws. Liang Qu held his breath, his eyes fixed on the battle. As the catfish struggled to shake free, he cast a spell to bind its tail fin, executing a flawless interception. The catfish lost balance, and the crocodile took the chance to clamp down on its tail. It thrashed wildly, trying to break free. Liang Qu drew a piece of gravel, slicing his finger. Blood drifted in thin lines through the water as he lunged toward the catfish's back, his black hair fanning out like ink. With 3 fingers, he drew a rune of command. Chapter 9, The Formidable 6-Whiskered Catfish. The cauldron of the waters emitted a spiritual glow, causing the blood scattered in the water to coalesce under a mysterious power, gradually inscribing itself onto the smooth back of the 6-whiskered catfish. In the murky depths, the rune of command flared up with a crimson glow, and the thrashing 6-whiskered catfish suddenly went rigid. An intense mental force surged into Liang Qu's mind like a sledgehammer, leaving him dizzy and disoriented. He felt warmth in his nose and realized blood was trickling out, this attempt to control the six-whiskered catfish was even riskier than with the pig-woman dragon. Though both were similar in size, the pig-woman dragon had been in a half-dormant state, its resistance much weaker compared to the fierce will of the six-whiskered catfish. Finally, after a stalemate lasting several breaths, the mental force within Liang Qu's mind faded away. The rune of command sank beneath the skin of the catfish and disappeared. A completely new spiritual connection appeared in Liang Qu's mind. Success. Exhausted, Liang Qu's face lit up with excitement, with a hint of relief mixed in. The six-whiskered catfish had put up quite a fierce fight, he'd only succeeded with the pig-woman dragon last time by sheer luck. But a victory was still a victory. Once the spiritual link was established, the creature's life and death were under his control, with no risk of betrayal. Sometimes, luck is just another form of strength. The cauldron of the waters radiated with brilliance. Six-whiskered catfish now under command, can evolve. 80 units of essence of the waters required for the six-whiskered catfish to evolve into a spotted tiger fish. It was the same evolution prompt as before. Unfortunately, Liang Qu still didn't have enough essence of the waters, it would have to wait for the future. Completely drained, he quickly summoned his two beasts, grabbing one by the tail with each hand to help himself rise to the surface for air. Splash! Phew! Wiping the water from his face, Liang Qu took a deep breath, his aching, dizzy mind suddenly refreshed like he'd just sipped an ice-cold drink on a summer day. There was still plenty of daylight. Regaining his strength, Liang Qu admired the huge, fearsome forms of the two beasts by his side, feeling a sense of pride and security well up within him. With these two as allies, even someone as strong and tall as Bald Zhong would be at his mercy if they fell into the water. But, Liang Qu glanced at the torn wound on the six-whiskered catfish's tail and couldn't help but feel a pang of regret, it was family now. In its earlier struggle with Can't Move, the catfish had been bitten and left with a big scar, even though Can't Move's tough skin left it unharmed. This was one of Can't Move's strengths, its agility and endurance might be lacking, but its attack power and stamina were hard to beat. "You're so chubby, I'll just call you Fat Catfish, ah fat." Liang Qu patted the six-whiskered catfish, naming it on the spot. Sensing Ah Fat's delighted reaction, he then led his two beasts back to the lotus root waters, breaking off a piece of lotus root to feed the six-whiskered catfish. This lotus root didn't contain essence of the waters, but it still had healing properties, just not as potent. After eating, the wound on Ah Fat's tail began healing visibly, though slowly. Ah Fat rolled in the water, circling Liang Qu in joy. Estimating that one piece was enough, Liang Qu returned to the boat and fed Can't Move some fish to keep it guarding the area. Meanwhile, he instructed Ah Fat to help him catch fish around the lotus root waters once its injury healed. The six-whiskered catfish was a powerful hunter, it could capture a school of small fish with a single gulp without leaving any suspicious wounds. This was precisely why Liang Qu wanted to command it. "Spit out any fish you catch here, and make sure no one sees." Liang Qu lifted a panel at the boat's stern, pointing to the hollow inside. Though Bald Zhong's small boat was simple, it had all the essentials, measuring over 3 meters long, with waterproof compartments at both the bow and stern for holding fish. Ah Fat bobbed up and down in the water, nodding its head. Spiritual links weren't without benefits for water beasts. At least from Liang Qu's observation, a water beast became noticeably more intelligent after establishing a link, showing some reasoning abilities beyond that of a mere wild creature. Once he'd confirmed Ah Fat's understanding, Liang Qu didn't bother closing the panel. He lay down, covered himself with a straw raincoat, and fell into a deep sleep. The mental strain of establishing a spiritual link was overwhelming, and he desperately needed rest. He drifted off, wondering what bounty awaited him when he woke. As the sky darkened and the river wind picked up, a shimmering red glow spread across the water's surface. Liang Qu awoke groggily, his eyes squinting at the blazing sunset to the west. It turned out he'd slept until dusk, and he hadn't even woken naturally, it was a fish jumping up and slapping his face that roused him. Bewildered, Liang Qu touched the slippery liquid on his face, sitting up in shock at the sight of several large fish flopping around in the boat. The stern compartment was packed with fish. Every so often, one would escape through the narrow opening, either diving back into the water or jumping onto the boat, with one eventually landing near his head and waking him up. A surge of joy hit him. Even if they were just ordinary fish, he probably had 100 coins worth. Was this all from Ah Fat's afternoon of work? Just then, Ah Fat surfaced, spitting out 3 more large fish along with a gush of water and foam. Did you catch all of these? Liang Qu asked. Ah Fat gave a shake and bobbed its head again. It was a team effort with Can't Move, and some even managed to escape. Liang Qu absorbed the information through their spiritual link, realizing the perfect synergy of the two beasts. Can't Move wasn't agile and had slow reflexes, but it could block escape routes, helping Fat Catfish amass nearly 50 big fish near the lotus root waters. Among them was a spotted tiger fish worth 30 coins. Altogether, the fish haul was worth 130 coins. Though Can't Move's help with fishing meant it technically left its guard post, the bounty was too impressive to hold a grudge. Good job, both of you. Liang Qu praised them repeatedly, then quickly gathered the fish, stuffing them into the compartment and securing it. He broke off 2 pieces of lotus root to reward his companions. There were over 100 pieces without essence of the waters, so he had no reason to hold back. Checking off Fat's injury, he found it nearly healed, with just a scar remaining. With their rewards, the two beasts splashed around happily, creating foam on the water's surface before diving down together to guard the lotus root treasure in the area. Liang Qu took up his oar and headed back to the pier. By the time he arrived, night had fallen. Lanterns glowed along the pier as groups of fishermen returned to their boats, preparing to rest before heading out again at midnight. With over 100 caddies of fish, he couldn't carry it all in one go. Liang Qu called for one of the fishing gear rental clerks to bring over fish baskets to help. The clerk, Lin Songbao, smiled and said, "Ah Shui, selling fish again today." Lin Songbao was the younger son of Lin Di, the fishing gear rentals overseer, and often worked as a clerk. "Otherwise, I'd never dare use your baskets. You'd skin me alive." "Ah Shui, how could you say that? Everyone knows our stuff is," Lin Songbao started, but Liang Qu cut him off, urging him to get the baskets. "Looks like you've had quite a catch today. You'll need 3 baskets." Lin Songbao brought them over, glancing at the pile of fish and marveling, "Did you catch all these?" Lin Songbao estimated the fish's value to be well over 100 coins. Only a few seasoned fishermen on the pier could consistently catch that much, and Liang Qu was still so young. Even if he'd just chanced upon a school, it was quite impressive. "Seems like we've got a new fishing master here." Dropping his joking tone, Lin Songbao gave a respectful nod. A while back, Liang Qu's father, Liang Dajiang, had passed away, and his black-sailed boat was sold off. Many assumed that an orphan like Liang Qu wouldn't last long. Yet here he was, thriving with just a small boat and pulling in a hefty haul. Orphans were common in Yixing City, many forced to sell themselves or beg, but Liang Qu was the first to make something of himself. When Lin Songbao showed up with 3 brimming fish baskets at the pier, many fishermen paused in their tracks to watch. Chapter 10, Treasure Fish. 3 baskets filled with freshly caught fish were unloaded from the boat, instantly capturing the attention of the surrounding fishermen, especially when a prominent striped fish appeared, sparking a murmur among the crowd. "Whose boat is that? Did they run into a fish school? Their luck must be incredible. Look, there's even a striped one. Don't know, looks kind of familiar. The big names around here are just a few, but this boat doesn't look like any of theirs. Isn't that Ah Shui's little boat? The one that bald guy insisted on swapping for. And who's Ah Shui? Don't you remember? The kid from the Liang family. Quite a good-looking lad. He's still alive. I thought he'd become an orphan. Last time I saw him, he was turned away when he tried to borrow food." "Shish, he's alive and well. Stop saying such nonsense." Upon hearing this, the fishermen around were visibly surprised, clearly not expecting that an orphan could survive on his own. It was truly rare. Poor kid, life's been hard on him. But it looks like he's managed to make a living on his own, which is no small feat. Our doc's got itself a young talent. If only he were my son instead of my good-for-nothing one. The fishermen sighed, their admiration laced with envy. As they watched the fish baskets being moved into the fishing gear shop, they dispersed, each going their separate ways. Being an orphan is tough, surviving alone is rare, but it's none of their business. They were just there to see what was happening. Could he really have a big future ahead? Meanwhile, Lin Songbao weighed the fish and settled the bill. With the striped one, it totals 132 wen. How about I round it up to 135? Give me 1 qian of broken silver and 10 wen, please. 1 qian of broken silver. Lin Songbao pondered for a moment. In recent years, prices had stabilized, with 1 tael of silver officially equivalent to about 1,000 copper coins. However, since silver retains value better, 1,000 copper coins wouldn't really fetch a tael of silver, it would take around 11 or 1,200. Exchanging 125 wen for 1 qian of silver was slightly profitable, so after some thought, Lin Songbao agreed, putting away the string of copper coins and replacing it with a piece of broken silver and 10 copper coins. Here you go, thanks. Leaving the fish shop, Liang Qu headed to his usual food stall for a meal. As always, he ordered the same 3 dishes, eating while he thought to himself. I've got 2 taels and 3 qian now, I just need 4 taels and 7 qian more, then I'll have enough to go to the martial arts school. If I could save 100 wen a day, it would take just 2 months. But that's too noticeable. If I do this, I need to increase gradually. Thanks to the fat catfish's help, Liang Qu's daily catch exceeded that of the average fisherman. But just a few days ago, he was only making 30 wen per day, so suddenly tripling that would be too suspicious. It needed to be a gradual climb. As for why he'd suddenly earned over 100 wen today, well, who hasn't had a lucky day now and then when they stumble upon a fish school? It's like catching yellowfish, once or twice is no big deal, but if it happens repeatedly, then you'd better have a good explanation. Also, the autumn tax season is approaching, and I'll need to pay tax. 2 months is far from enough. If I can't pay, they'll conscript me for labor. Damn this feudal society. Liang Qu had a clear plan for his future. He had to study martial arts. It wasn't just to see how vast the world was but also because he had a looming threat over him, a certain Zhao household. Those damn aristocrats, hanging over him like the sword of Damocles. Liang Qu angrily shoveled down his last mouthful of rice, paid his bill, and returned home, collapsing onto his bed. If only I could catch a treasure fish like the spotted tiger fish, he thought, recalling that someone at the nearby dock had caught a 5-pound spotted tiger fish last month. It was sold at the market to a martial artist for 3 taels and 5 qian, a sky-high price. Such a fish had incredible effects on training the body, saving a martial artist a month's worth of effort. It might even be more valuable than the treasured lotus root he'd discovered. Just as Liang Qu was wondering if it was worth asking the 6-whiskered catfish to look for it, he heard a clamor outside his house, though it soon quieted down. Ah, someone's arguing again. This is how it went in small places. If any family raised their voice, the whole neighborhood would hear it clearly. Liang Qu vowed that when he had money, he'd buy a big estate with 10 gates and 10 courtyards, fill it with 10 beautiful maids, each one slender and fair, serving tea with gentle voices, living the life of a master. Knock, knock, knock. The knocking interrupted his daydream, and Liang Qu got up, wondering if it was Zheng Shang again. Who is it? It's me. Recognizing the familiar voice, Liang Qu quickly got up to answer, remembering this voice well and knowing he mustn't forget it. Opening the door, he found Chen Qingzhong standing there, looking grim, as he handed Liang Qu a small cloth bag before turning and leaving without a word. Uncle Chen, what's this? But before he could catch up, Chen Qingzhong had already walked away. Liang Qu opened the bag and found it filled with rice, 5 or 6 pounds of it. In that moment, he understood everything. Chen Qingzhong, who went to town to sell fish every day, still assumed Liang Qu was struggling to survive, unaware of his recent success. He had kindly brought him rice, thinking Liang Qu was still in hardship. This wasn't necessary. Liang Qu sighed. He couldn't forget Chen Qingzhong's kindness. Without that initial rice cake, he might have starved long ago. But with taxes and martial arts training costs looming, he hadn't yet found a way to repay the kindness. It must have been Chen Qingzhang's wife he argued with earlier. Feeling ashamed, Liang Qu went to Chen's house to apologize but stopped when he heard sounds inside. Inside, Chen Qingzhang's wife, Di, was sitting quietly, sulking and ignoring her husband. She busied herself with her sewing, clearly upset. Giving away rice was not something she was usually unwilling to do, but their youngest child had recently been ill, draining their savings just as tax season approached. Paying the taxes for 3 people was a heavy burden. Was he just trying to keep up appearances? In the dim candlelight, Chen Qingzhang suddenly stood up, causing the flame to flicker. Di, startled, nearly pricked her finger as she looked up furiously, only to be swept off her feet in her husband's arms. "What do you think you're doing?" she stammered, her face flushed with embarrassment. Chen Qingzhang carried her over to blow out the candle, grunting, "Going to bed. The kids are sleeping. Those little piglets won't know a thing." Di's mind went blank, her anger melting away, replaced by a deep blush. Outside, Liang Qu, hearing the sounds from inside, retracted his hand from the door, feeling awkward. He had come to apologize for causing a rift between the couple but had walked right into this awkward situation. He could only carry the rice back home and plan to return it another day. In the following half-month, Liang Qu continued to sell fish at the dock, gradually increasing his daily income. He was building up a reputation as a promising young fisherman, slowly raising his daily earnings from 40 to 80 yuan, establishing himself as a skilled fisherman. Ordinary fishermen earned around 60 to 70 yuan a day. Experienced fishermen like Chen Qingzhang could make 80 yuan, while only a handful could earn more than 100. At 15 or 16, Liang Qu, an orphan, was already making such gains, surprising the fishermen and sparking envy and admiration. But one thing puzzled him. Whenever Liang Qu went to return the rice to Uncle Chen's house, the family was never there. Every day, it seemed as if they were out from dawn, perfectly timing their absence. Strange as it was, Liang Qu suspected that even Auntie Di might have gone out to work, bringing the children along. One day, as he pondered this, he spotted someone he didn't want to see, the matchmaker. His recent success had caught her attention, and she kept pestering him to arrange a match. "I told you I'm not planning to get married yet." Liang Qu quickly jumped onto his boat, untied the rope, and rowed away in haste. Seeing his hasty retreat, the fisherman on the shore assumed he was shy, laughing at his expense. "Don't give Huai a hard time, he's still a greenhorn. Bet he doesn't even know what he's missing. Shame he's not for me. Go find another fool." Liang Qu hadn't expected his fishing talent to make him such a popular match on the marriage market. He kept rowing until the dock was out of sight, finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. At the lotus pond, he slapped the water with his oar. The massive pig-woman dragon rose slowly from the water, flicking its tail as it placed its claws on the edge of the boat. Seeing that no one was around, Liang Qu grabbed his fishing net and an inflated pig bladder and dived into the water. Together with the creature, Liang Qu searched for the elusive 6-whiskered catfish. Liang Qu's daily fish catch was around 150 yuan. However, he could only show about 80 yuan openly, so he spent the remaining time searching for the treasure fish, keeping the catfish busy as well. But treasure fish were rare. Several days passed with no luck, until today, when the catfish sent a mental signal, it had found one. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audio Wave to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.